Welcome to Daniel's Inferno. My name is Daniel. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you have a moment, please like, subscribe, share, join the conversation below. I'd love to hear from you. We got a bit of bullshit today, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. You may have heard about the update in the Jacob Blake case. If you haven't, then on your screen you'll see the lawyer for the cop that shot Jacob Blake after hearing a mother's desperate plea, he's got my kid, he's got my keys. What an impossible situation for a police officer to be in. He does something and look at the situation he's at right now. He doesn't do something, those kids may have ended up in some sort of child exploitation. You know, they we may never see them again. Now, it's very likely in this situation that it's some sort of custody dispute. Um, probably, probably are his kids as well as this other lady's kids. However, it looks to be, at least if this cop is what he's alleging, if it's true, is that Blake was actually trying to abduct his own kids. And so, the whole thing unfolded. Now we're going to go into this, but with the whole Jacob Blake case, I'm just going to get it out there right now. I honestly feel like, at least so far with the facts that we've been given, or at least the information we've been given, maybe not facts yet. Now, the case is still unfolding, so my opinion will change at the end of the case. But at this point, where we are now, you know, I think that the cop it was a good shoot. I mean, he tried to apprehend him, he tried to taser him. Jacob Blake allegedly had a weapon with him. The cop alleges that he actually was turning towards the police officer with his weapon in hand. After tasing doesn't work multiple times, what's the next step after that, if you're being physically overpowered? So we're going to read this a little bit. Rustin Sheshki has told investigators that it wasn't just his life he was defending when he fired his weapon 7 times at Jacob Blake last month. He said he used deadly force during the chaotic encounter. He was afraid Blake, while attempting to flee the scene, was trying to kidnap a kid in the back seat of the vehicle. He's got my kid, he's got my keys, Sheshki heard a woman say, according to attorney Brendan Matthews, who was representing the officer. If Sheshki had allowed Blake to drive away and something happened to the child, the question would have been, why didn't you do something? Matthews said. That explanation, provided in an exclusive interview with CNN, offers the most detailed rationale to date for Sheshki's highly scrutinized decision to shoot Blake, who is black. Why are you Thank God we know that information now, right? Because that just changes how we see the whole thing. No, it doesn't at all. The color of the person does not matter. The content of their character matters. My Lord, when are we going to get this into our heads? As he leaned into an SUV with his children inside it on August 23rd. Cell phone video of the shooting went viral on the internet, sparking days of protest and rioting in the lakeside city. The shooting, which Blake's family has said resulted in paralysis from his waist down, which is just horrendous. I have a permanent disability myself. It's not this serious, but I have a cane. So I can sympathize a bit. That's horrific. I'm so sorry that happened to him. However, the situation that he put himself in, if these pieces of information we're being told are true, then you at what point can we say that a person could have taken steps and actions to avoid an outcome? Not to shame them, but just realistically. The attorney's comments to CNN come as authorities in Wisconsin announced this week that the results of an investigation by the State Department of Justice would soon be turned over to a retired police chief serving as an independent consultant for his review. The consultant is in turn expected to forward the case to legal prosecutors, along with the analysis intended to help determine whether criminal charges against Sheshki are warranted. They very well could be warranted, and if they are, I hope he gets the charges he deserves. However, this whole situation, Blake's side of the story is that he was, quote, trying to break up some sort of argument between women on the street. I, he was just over at what we can assume is his ex's or someone he knew and had allegedly, excuse my language, if there are children here, he had allegedly raped her. And now, right after that, he's downstairs trying to, break up a scuffle between, five random women. At least that's how it was portrayed. That just doesn't follow to me. And if your kids are in the car, if you are trying to get your kids and go, why are you stopping to to break up this to break up a scuffle between people? That doesn't make sense. You'd want to get the hell in the car and get out of there. Matthews told CNN he typically does not talk about pending cases, but said he felt compelled to provide some additional detail to counter what he described as an incomplete, inaccurate narrative that has emerged to date. He counters assertions by Blake's families and lawyers that he was unarmed. At the time Sheshki opened fire, the lawyer said Blake held a knife in his hand and twisted his body toward the officer. That action is not visible in the video widely circulated on the internet. Blake's body is partially obscured by the driver's side door of the SUV. Matthews said a second officer at the scene, whom he also represents, provided investigators with a similar account of Blake turning toward Shesky with a knife in his hand immediately prior to the shooting. That officer said he, too, would have opened fire but not have a clear angle. Authorities have said Blake had a knife in his possession and the weapon was found in the floorboard of the vehicle, but they have released few other details of the incident, citing the ongoing investigation. So this is a very hotly contested case. I realize that. I really do. And I also realize that there are, people have very strong opinions about that, and they're allowed to have that. But if we just sit down, take a breath, and we don't think with our heart and we think with our brain, we use our logic and not our emotion for a moment, what part of Blake's side of the story really tracks along logically if you were in his shoes, if you were in his situation? And that's my question that I am forwarding to you. And go ahead, please, down in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong. Please go ahead and answer the question as well. But I, I just, if this was some sort of custody dispute, you know, and these were his kids and these other women's kids, but he's trying to, take them away, what would you do as the officer? Again, after trying to apprehend him, after trying to tase him, according to his account of the story, at what point can we allow an officer some degree of lethal force within their job? And that is part of their job, is that we trust them to hold a higher judgment of when to use this lethal force. And obviously, they're humans, they're fallible. They can make mistakes, they also think emotionally. And I know there have been lies by the police department already, um, that you can go out there and find. And I am not going to sit here and say that either side is, some sort of moral angel based off the information we have so far. However, I really would like to know that at what point do we say that, a shoot from an officer is a good shoot? And I would like to say that I am sorry for Jacob Blake that he's paralyzed. Even if he was doing these actions, he deserved his day in court. Again, I don't fault the officer at all. The situation was very chaotic, and I just, there recently there have been so many narratives that have been just forwarded based off of people's emotions, and we really need to set those things aside and logically look at the details that are provided to us and try to come to some sort of conclusion based off the Socratic method. We all get emotional, I understand. I'm not saying police departments don't need reforms. I'm not saying that police departments and police officers don't make mistakes, that they don't lie, that they don't do things that are wrong. And I'm sure there are racists within police departments. However, you cannot blanket statement say that all police officers are racist, that we need to defund the police, any of these insane ideas. Uh, you know, we'll see at the end of this whole thing what the courts decide. And at that point, I will have released another video. And hopefully at that point, we'll really have some clear answers. But based off of what this lawyer is saying and the police officer is saying, if that is true, that's a good shoot. That is a good shoot. Thank you all for watching. I'm Daniel's Inferno. Have a nice day.